Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Iman, and today I will be presenting an introduction to research methods and the manner to develop a good research question. This presentation will cover the definition of research methods, the process of research, how to construct research ideas, and we'll also see some research concepts and terms, some research paradigms in social sciences, and the inductive and deductive approaches to research. Then we'll cover the normative and empirical statements. We'll see also the exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory research. And after that, we'll look at some characteristics of a researchable question, the definition and development of hypotheses, and finally, we'll address the quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods research approaches, as well as the triangulation concept. To begin with, research methods are structured steps used to investigate and understand a specific topic. They guide researchers in collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data. The research process usually follows several stages, starting from choosing a topic, to reviewing the literature, to formulating the problem, then developing a research question, choosing and planning the research design, gathering the data, analyzing the data, and interpreting the data, and finally communicating the findings that you've come up with. Research ideas can come from different sources, such as replicating, clarifying, challenge previous research, or resolve conflicting results of a previous research, new technology, like for example studying the impact of social media on society, serendipity, which means surprise findings the researcher wants to explore further. Anomalies are the unexpected situations that should not technically exist, and therefore we study them. Common sense research concerns exploring further something we know, like history, tradition. Basic common sense says this is how things are until someone challenges them. This is an overview of the different concepts and terms related to research. We'll start by two important concepts in research, which are ontology and epistemology. Ontology is concerned with the nature of reality, what exists. In more words, ontology is the branch of philosophy that studies the nature of existence, reality, and being. It asks what actually exists and classifies things into categories, essentially creating a framework to understand and makes things real, just as distinguishing between physical objects and abstract concepts. Moving to epistemology, epistemology is the branch of philosophy that studies knowledge itself, what it is, how we get it, and what makes a belief justified rather than just a lucky guess. It asks how do we know what we know, and explores the limits of human understanding, distinguishing true knowledge from opinion or belief. There are four ways we're going to see in order to uncover knowledge. The first is interview. Interviewing people to understand public opinion about a topic. The second one is observation. We observe people in the natural environment. Third one is to mail people surveys to complete on their own without interviewing them face to face. And finally, read the newspapers in order to see people's opinions on matters and topics. Each method of data collection comes with its own set of epistemological assumptions about how to find things out. There are two subfunctions to epistemology, positivist and interpretivist paradigms, which we will discover shortly, but first let's address the definition of a paradigm. A paradigm is an assumption about how things work, sometimes illustrated as a worldview involving shared understanding of reality. A research paradigm is the set of common beliefs and arguments shared between scientists about how problems should be understood and addressed. Now we'll move to see 5 types of paradigms. The first one is positivism, which is a subsection of epistemology. The emphasis of positivism is objectivity, knowability, and deductive logic. Its assumption is that society can and should be studied empirically and scientifically. The second type is interpretivism, and it's the second subsection of epistemology. Its emphasis is on research on humans. Its assumption is that people interpret their social roles in relationship, which influences how they then give meaning to those roles and the roles of others. The third type is social constructionism. Its emphasis is on truth as a variant socially constructed and ever-changing. Its assumption is that reality is created collectively. Social context and interaction frame our realities. The fourth type is critical paradigm. Its emphasis is on power, inequality, and social change. Its assumption is that social science can never be truly value-free and should be conducted with the express goal of social change in mind. The fifth type and the last one is postmodernism. Its meaning is that there are no definite terms, boundaries, or absolute truth. And its assumption is that truth is any form, may or might not be knowable. There are 2 main research approaches, inductive and deductive. Although inductive and deductive approaches are different, they can be complementary, and a lot of researchers use them both. Starting with the inductive approach to research, it is a bottom-up method where researchers collect specific data to identify patterns and develop new theories or generalizations. It is primarily exploratory, moving from specific observations to broader conceptual insights, often used when little to no existing theory exists on a topic. The steps of the inductive research approach is first the observation, data collection, then to identify the pattern made based on the observation. Third is formulating the hypothesis, and lastly, theory development. We'll move to deductive approaches. It is a top-down approach that tests existing theories by developing hypotheses, collecting data, and analyzing results to confirm or reject established ideas. Starting with a general rule, it moves to specific observations, making it ideal for quantitative studies with extensive literature. Steps of the deductive research approach are first is to develop the hypothesis, then operationalization, which is to define how variables will be measured. Third is data collection. Fourth, data analysis. And lastly, to confirm or reject the theory based on the findings. Now we'll move to the normative and empirical statements. Normative statements are subjective, value-oriented claims of what ought to be, such as everyone should vote. Empirical statements are objective, fact-based descriptions of what is verifiable through observation or data. For example, voting turnout was 60%. Moving to the types of research, research can also be classified based on its purpose, and we'll explore 3 types of research: exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory. Exploratory research answers the what. It is conducted when a problem is not clearly defined, usually in the early stages of a study. It focuses on generating hypotheses, discovering themes, and gathering preliminary information through qualitative methods like focus groups or interviews. Descriptive research answers the who, where, and how. It aims to portray a phenomenon accurately, describing its characteristics, patterns, or trends. It focuses on structured quantitative data to document what is happening without interfering, such as surveying the percentage of users adopting a new tool. Explanatory research answers the why. It seeks to determine cause and effect relationships between variables. It moves beyond description to explain why something occurs, often following descriptive research to test hypotheses, such as analyzing why a specific school's adoption method improved test scores. Now we'll see how to develop a good research question. A good research question is one that you are interested in. You have the resources to answer it, meaning the money and the technology and the assistance you need. It offers you access to the data you need. It is operationalized appropriately to the data that you need, and it has a specific objective. Moving to hypotheses. A hypothesis is a statement describing a researcher's expectations about anticipated findings. It often predicts a relationship between two variables. In order to develop a hypothesis, you need to understand the difference between independent and independent variables and units of observation versus units of analysis. Hypotheses are usually derived from theories and predict how an independent variable affects a dependable variable. In deductive research, hypotheses are based on existing theory and tested against real-world observations. If the theory is accurate, the hypothesis should be supported by empirical findings. Writing hypotheses can be challenging. That's why visualizing or diagramming them can help you. Researchers rarely claim to prove hypotheses. Instead, they say hypotheses are supported or not supported. This cautious language allows for the possibility of new evidence or alternative explanations. A null hypothesis predicts no relationship between variables. Rejecting it suggests a relationship exists. There are three main types of research methods: qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. Starting by the quantitative approach, the quantitative approach is framed by the belief that there is one reality or truth that simply requires discovering. It's also called realism. This perspective favors observable causes and effects and is therefore outcome-oriented. The qualitative approach tends to favor the constructionist perspective. Knowledge is created, not discovered, and there are multiple realities based on someone's perspective. This approach is process-oriented. It is based on understanding action and on the interpretive meaning of that action. Mixed methods approach. Mixed methods are characterized by a focus on research problems that require an explanation of real-life contextual understandings, multi-level perspectives, and an examination of cultural influences. It also requires an intentional application of rigorous quantitative research, assessing magnitude and frequency of constructs. The final concept we'll discuss is a triangulation. The triangulation method is a technique used to increase the credibility, validity, and accuracy of findings by incorporating multiple data sources, methods, investigators, or theories. It helps cross-verify information, reduces observer bias, and provides a more comprehensive, balanced understanding of research subjects. To conclude, research methods are essential for understanding and analyzing social phenomena. By using appropriate approaches and combining different methods, researchers can produce reliable and meaningful results. Thank you, and I'll see you another time.